Hi, welcome to our second Facebook Live event. My name's Brianna Larimer, business trainer and consultant with Missouri Training Institute. Next to me, I have Miss Ray Lyon.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
We're so excited that you all are here with us today. We had a couple technical difficulties this morning, of course, as it happens, but we're certainly glad. We hope that you're on there with us. We're seeing some comments coming in, and so we're grateful for all of you for tuning in. This is an exciting day. I think we were so excited for our first Facebook Live that we happened to just kind of jump right into the content.
Yep.
And we're going to do the same this morning again. However, we just want to kind of tell you a little bit about who we are and who Missouri Training Institute is. So, Ray, I'm going to let you take that away since you've been here the longest.
Okay. Well, Missouri Training Institute is an organization that exists within the University of Missouri. We're an extension arm, actually, of the College of Business. And what we do is we provide customized training programs for businesses, all sizes, public, private, educational institutions, associations. We do training mostly on management or supervisory topics, but anything related to business and making professionals better in the jobs that they do. And we work directly with those individuals. We do group trainings, we do individual coaching. We're certified in things like emotional intelligence, Clifton Strengths, True Colors. So we also provide coaching and group training on those items as well. We've been doing this for, oh my gosh, over 30 years. I've been a part of Missouri Training Institute for 12 years. And I don't know, of all of that, I think the most important thing is how much I love my job and what I do, and the idea of developing others and working through other people to get work done. So that's my favorite part about what I do.
I would agree. I think that was certainly one of the things that really brought me to MTI was just feeling the passion that you and Dewey have for what you've done for so long. Dewey is our director. He's been here over 20 years now. Okay. All right. And so we're a small but mighty team.
Yep.
And we're certainly excited to be able to offer things like this to everyone that's out there joining us today. So thank you all. I'm seeing some comments come in. I did post in the comment section, how balanced are you feeling today? And so if you want to use an emoji to let us know that as well, please join in this discussion. This is for you. We're really wanting to just bring information to you the quickest and easiest way possible. So we certainly appreciate the feedback that you would have at the conclusion of today's event. And of course, if you want to reach out to us, mti@missouri.edu. And so, Ray, this particular topic that we talked about, we last 2 weeks ago, I guess it has been now, we talked about the idea of women in the workplace and why women are such great leaders and have such great leadership qualities. And I think as we were discussing that, we kind of talked a lot about burnout. And that kind of transitioned into this idea of work-life balance. And I'll tell you, as a woman, I think that I struggle with this quite a bit because of all the many hats that we wear. But it's not just for women.
No.
I think that work-life balance, what is it? How do we know when we think about it? It seems like we're always thinking about the time, right? Trying to balance time.
Right.
But you kind of have a different take on it.
I do. I think, when I work with individuals or groups or even in organizations and I ask people, what are you trying to balance? What is this idea in your mind about what you're trying to balance? A lot of times I hear things, very often, I hear time. I'm trying to balance time. Or effort. I hear that. I'm trying to balance my effort, the effort that I'm giving to work and to things outside of work. It's always those two ideas. And I think that's where we go wrong, because when you think about time is finite, it's fixed. You really only get, and everybody only gets, the same amount of time. And the way our society's built, that just doesn't make sense.
Right.
I mean, the math doesn't work. And so I want us to think about how we're balancing in a different way, or what we're balancing in a different way, because the math will never work. And I want us to think about balancing this work-life idea, and we'll expand upon those areas in just a moment. But thinking, instead of trying to balance time, let's try to balance fun and achievement.
Okay.
Because I think in all of the areas of your life, if initially let's start with this idea of work and life, but even in work, can we balance fun in work with achievement in work?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially here.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you think of the outside of work, right? The other side of that particular equation, balancing fun and achievement in those activities you do in life. And so I think when we get our minds off of this idea of time, because the math will never work. You'll never feel balanced if you feel like you have to balance time or even effort. But I think the idea of balancing fun with achievement, and when you're looking at the things that you're engaging in and that you are trying to spend doing, how are you balancing fun and achievement? Is what you're doing in balance related to fun and achievement? And I think it gives you the grace, if you will, to say, oh yeah, it's time for me to move forward with something.
Sure, and I would say it almost gives you the control as
Yes.
well. And I think for me, that's a lot of I have control freak tendencies in general, but I think that's where I really start feeling off kilter is when I feel like I've just lost control of everything in my life. And realistically, you're absolutely correct. It comes back to maybe I'm not having as much fun in this particular area, or maybe I'm just not achieving as well over here because I've spent so much time over here. And man, it can totally turn you for a loop. And so it makes more sense to me to be able to balance those two things. I feel more in control of that than I do the time itself, because there's only 24 hours in a day.
Right.
And so, when I looking at it through that lens, I think back to this idea that there are sometimes seasons of life that we'll have where all of this will change. What was fun and things that I achieved in before are not the things that I find maybe as fun or that I achieve in as much now. And so can you speak to that just a little bit? I think with you, I think you had a story that really stuck out to me when I first started here.
Absolutely. And you're right. What appeals to you as fun and achievement at one age and stage in your life certainly won't appeal to you at another stage and age in your life. And there's difficult choices you have to make. And I think that's where that sense of control comes in. And you feel more in control when you're the one making the choices. Right. When choice is made for you, I think that's when people feel out of control.
Right.
And so understanding you take back that sense of control when you take back the ability to make those choices for yourself. And I remember early in my career, I worked at a bank, and I do have a high sense of achievement. Mm-hmm. That's one of my top 5 Clifton strengths is achiever. And I loved my job. I really did. It gave me that sense of it fulfilled me in that role. And I spent a lot of time in that achievement area. And I remember my kids were young at the time, and I came home and we were going through their backpacks, and just kind of figuring out what they had spent their day doing. And my daughter had this picture, and it was all the little people that were out there. And I was like, oh, tell me about this picture. Who is this? Are these people in your picture? And she said, well, this is Daddy, and I can just see it. These heads were really big, and then these little stick bodies. And so this is Daddy, and this is Emily, and Emily was the neighbor.
Okay.
And they were supposed to draw a picture of their family, and Emily's the neighbor. So I thought that was cute that she thought, Emily was in our family. And this is Brother, so Brother was there, and Rufus, our dog. So the dog made the family picture. And, so all these people were on this picture. And I said, well, where's Mommy? Right? And she said, oh, Mommy's at work.
Ooh, I got goosebumps when you said
that.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost still brings that emotion to the top, and this was, 25 years ago. And that hit me. Right? That I didn't even make the family drawing to my young daughter. And that's when I had to start taking back some of that control. And I did. I mean, my husband and I, we sat down, we worked out a plan. Even though I got a sense of achievement through work, I wasn't balanced.
Right.
I wasn't balanced. And so I think that's another part of this equation, is knowing when you're out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it takes something as monumental as your 7-year-old saying, yeah, you don't make the family picture,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or it's even more important for you to be that self-aware, to go, wow, something's amiss here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not either feeling it, or I can look around and notice
Sure.
that I'm not present at these other things.
And I think that that's, for me, that self-awareness piece was a critical thing to learn. And what I started doing, what kind of helped me along the way, is I identified what some of those hats were that I wear. Meaning, my role here at MTI, what are the different variables, not just a business trainer and consultant, but doing the marketing and doing different social media things. And so those are different hats. And then the hats I wear at home. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter. But what do I specifically do there? What are the chores that I take on? What are the things that I really lead our family in? And so I started just sitting down and asking my husband, like, how am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, how am I doing at being your wife? And you want to talk about a loaded question. All right. I think at first it certainly threw him off a little bit, because he was, what do you mean? But if you don't have that great self-awareness at first, and you can't really read the field, I mean, that was such a great way to start the conversation and to get that self-awareness. Then you can kind of start figuring it out, I think, from there too. You start getting those vibes, for recognizing when something's off.
Yeah.
And I love your story. That was like one of the most powerful ones. I've heard that before. One of the most powerful ones I think about. And I considered that when my prior career was in law enforcement, and I was just kind of thinking through this, and I loved what I did there. It was the adrenaline rush occasionally, was always part of it, but it was also just the idea of being able to give back to the community and telling people what's going on, and making sure that our community was coming together. The problem was that at that time in my life, it was fine, because I'd get called out at 2 o'clock in the morning, to go out to crime scenes and to handle and manage all of the media there. And now with a baby, I don't want to get called out to crime scenes at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because you don't want to wake that baby. And so I think about it, and the thing is, though, I don't feel off balance. Like I left that, and that time of my life was great. And now I've transitioned into this career, and our family has grown, and now I find that same kind of adrenaline rush in my son's smile in the morning, and I want to be careful, because I think that we're really thinking that this is work and life, right? We're talking a lot about that, but there's other elements to work-life balance. And so I think when we're thinking about it, we're thinking of the physical, like how good you feel physically.
Right. Absolutely.
What are some of the others, right?
Yeah, and I think physical is important, because if your physical health is not given achievement and enjoyment, I mean, that's why you've got to take care of yourself so you can have fun, with your body. You can stay well. But I also think there's a mental component to it. Not just the mental health that we think of, when it comes to mental illness, but I also think there's the mental health, how are you learning? How are you continuing to know about what's going on in the world, in your community, into interest areas? Maybe you want to learn more about kayaking, or, maybe you want to learn how to do a new skill or a new hobby, or even, if you're in the world of work, how are you learning more about your industry? And what's going on, or, with us, and having to go fully remote. I mean, it was more about learning about what are new platforms that we could use. How do you do a Facebook Live? How do you put on a podcast? So that's part of that mental balance. How are we having fun at it? But how are we also achieving? And so I think there's that mental part that we need to think about. So there's the physical, there's the mental, there's the financial. How are you using your physical or your financial for fun and achievement? So we work to achieve, right? To buy our homes or to pay our rent. But how are we also using it for fun?
Mm-hmm.
Right? To, for savings, so we can take a trip when it's time to take a
Sure.
trip again, or buy that, car we've always wanted, or whatever brings you that sense of fun or enjoyment. So we've got to think about balance with our finances. And then there's that spiritual component, and that's however you define it. For some people, maybe it is a formal religion,
Mm-hmm.
and practicing that. For some, maybe it's getting on the back of a Harley Davidson. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever brings you back to kind of that center.
Right.
And I think, without being morbid or morose or whatever, but there's some really important questions that you can ask yourself to maybe start creating this, prompting. When you think about this physical thing, what if you have just found out that you had a life-threatening illness? You know, what would you do different?
Sure.
And again, that's kind of like
Wow.
that's a
Yeah.
downer, Ray. But seriously, if you got to this point doing what you're doing now for your body and found out, boom, your life just changed because of a life-threatening illness, what would you do? What would you do different? Maybe you would start eating more green leafy vegetables. People don't change when they see the light, because we all know we need to eat more green leafy vegetables, right? They change when they feel the heat.
Mm.
But when you're having fun, right, and you need to achieve, we need to start doing those things now so that we can continue to have fun and achievement in those areas. And that's where balance comes from.
Right.
And especially as I am aging, right, I really realize, wow, I wish I had used sunscreen when I was 10 and frying my face, but it's too late now, right, for some of those things. So getting balanced, at whatever age and stage you're in, but in different areas
Sure.
of life.
And I think one of the other key areas with our this idea of balance, and we've all been lacking in this the last year, it's the relationship
Yeah.
piece, and that is it's so hard to come by. And I think we've all been very innovative in the ways that
Yeah.
we maintain our social connections. But man, the value in that, and this is coming from someone who's very, we love people, absolutely love people. And so this last year has really, I think, made me realize the value and the importance of maintaining those relationships more than ever. I mean, just checking on each
Yes.
other. And we all get so caught in our daily whirlwind, and I remember talking to my mentor about this. Just, she tells me to find your tribe, find your tribe. And we talked a little bit about
Yeah.
that on the last Facebook Live. And I keep telling her, Karen, I can't find my tribe. I don't have time, going back to this idea that my balance is based off of time.
Right.
And ultimately, when I finally sat down, I made that phone call to a friend, or I went and got coffee with a friend a couple weeks ago. Man, you walk away just feeling refreshed. And so you have to put the time into those areas, and you have to take control of those opportunities.
Yeah.
And as a kind of a sneak peek, then next week, Ray and I were talking about, not next week, but in 2 weeks, we were talking about what Facebook Live event we were going to do for you all. And we've decided time management will kind of be a good transition out of this, because we're talking a lot about this concept of time. And it comes down to prioritizing and how do you prioritize. And so we're going to give you some tips in time management for defining priorities and identifying those important and urgent things. But I want to pause for just a quick second, because I see a lot of comments that have come in, and I want to just kind of see what folks are saying. So bear with me here. I'm taking a look at your comments. We are so glad you've joined us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of people. Robin, you're feeling very balanced. We got to learn
That's
from
good.
you. Yeah, we got to learn from you. It looks like Sarah, not balanced at all. Oh, goodness. Debbie, not at all. Okay. Not feeling very balanced today. All right. And I think that's actually kind of to know even day to day, because it accumulates sometimes. And it's like until we hit that moment where if we don't recognize it necessarily, maybe day to day, we hit that moment that's like, I'm just done.
Yeah.
Like I'm so out of balance because I've been maybe neglecting the awareness from a day to day point of view.
And it's really important, I think, to in doing that is to recognize that, but also establishing boundaries. And it's okay to say when. It's okay to be like, you know what? I need a timeout. I'm going to step back. But what you do when you step back, that's a very individual thing. And I know the media, or I was reading at my daughter's last night. I was reading one of her, women's magazines that were there, and it says, women over 40 shouldn't wear this, or shouldn't have their hair cut like that. And I almost just wanted to rip it to shreds, because I was just like, we're so tuned into what we should and shouldn't do. And you got to do you.
Sure.
You got to do you. And sometimes it is like, take time for you. We're all about this thing of self-care. But sometimes, what makes me feel better is actually doing something for somebody else. I mean, whether it's paying for the lunch of the guy behind me in the drive-thru, sometimes that is my self-care.
Yeah.
Is feeling like I'm caring for somebody else. But I'm at a stage and age where I live alone. I'm single. My kids are out of the house. And, so taking care of somebody else is taking care of me. You're at home with a husband and a baby, so it's very different what your self-care might look like.
Right.
And I think that's what we need to decide, is what does that mean to me?
Oh, sure.
When we think about, I'm out of balance today, so what do I need to bring myself back to center?
Sure.
Or what area of my life am I out of balance?
Yes.
Is it my social? Is it my mental? Is it my physical?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I love that you brought that up, and I'm just going to own it. I'll share out with everybody kind of what happened actually earlier this week with me. We've had a lot of things happen in our family. We've had a lot of loss over the last couple of months, and I think Monday it all just kind of came to a head, and it hit me, and I'm in here trying to work, and I realize I'm not giving my full attention to it. I couldn't, and I finally went into your office, into Dewey's office, and I said, it's all right with you all, I need to take some time for today. And I did. I used some of my vacation time, went out, and I went to the gym, because as a new mom, and if there's any new moms out there and you all have tips, please send them my way. I will tell you, I am really struggling identifying this new normal of when is my gym time.
Yeah.
And so I needed that. It was refreshing, and it was, a couple hours at the gym. Then I went to a park, and just sat in the quiet. That was what I needed. And so I hear you. I love the idea of paying it forward too, and serving others. But there are moments, and it will be different for everybody, where do what you need.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask. I think in a lot of ways, and I think back to some previous careers I've had, and I'm so fortunate and blessed here that you treat the whole person here, and I'm grateful for that. And I've been in places where maybe that hasn't been a priority for some of the leadership, and I was nervous to ask, for different things. But right now in this climate and the things that we're all going through and have gone through, there's a lot more flexibility, I think. There's a lot more understanding maybe than ever before for needing this work-life balance, for needing to take care of yourself in the way that it works best for you.
We teach people how to treat us. And when we haven't established kind of those boundaries, then people don't know that they're invading our space or asking too much of us. So it's okay to establish those things and say, this is okay for me, and this isn't, or I have plans and won't be able to attend, or but thanks for thinking of me.
Right.
And so it's okay to establish those boundaries and ask for what you need, because if you're not getting it and you ask, I mean, what's the worst they can say? No. Well, you're already not getting it. So but now at least you've said something, and they know, well, gosh, that might not have gone the way she wanted it to. Sure. Maybe I'll know better next time not to ask, or to,
It goes back to the reputation piece, what we think other people are thinking of us. And, I heard on the radio this morning a really sad statistic, and I won't say the percentage because I honestly don't remember the exact percentage, but the idea was that a majority of young girls will not post a photo to social media without adding a filter to it.
Wow.
And I'm like, with that. Because number one, we didn't have filters back when I was, younger and trying to learn how to use social media. But now it's just like that we are so consumed by what we think other people think of us. And you might be surprised, in the sense that everyone's so busy in their own lives, they're not really thinking that,
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was really what used to help, like, throw me off a lot, was being worried about what other people thought.
Yeah.
And so there's a certain level of consciousness I think we have to that, but by all means, give yourself grace to be you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's see. I want to see some more here. We have great day today. I'm glad to hear that, Bonnie. Thank you. Regina, will this be recorded for future reference or sharing? Great question. Thank you. Yes, we actually even posted the one we did 2 weeks ago on YouTube. So I would be happy to share that. I'll share that on social here after we've ended the recording today. I will get it uploaded to YouTube so you can have the link forever. And we'd certainly love if you share it with your friends as well. Kylie, I'm sorry you're feeling a little off today. I hope that some of this information is reaching you all, and I think honestly this was one of the main topics when I first started with MTI. I was so excited to learn about, and it has changed a lot in my life. So I encourage you all right, don't feel like it's not going to be possible, because it is. And it is just about regaining that kind of control. Again, balancing fun and achievement.
Right.
And so we want to throw it out there. We're getting ready to wrap up here the last few minutes. If there's any questions, anything you all would like us to answer live here, please, by all means, send those in via chat. And other than that, we want to make sure we're being respectful of time. And we're still excited. Again, we're getting ready to launch podcasts, recording quite a few episodes today, so we'll be launching that podcast soon. We'll be sending out information on that. We encourage you to subscribe to our mailing list. Mailing list will be the best way for us to communicate to you when we're doing these. I will put the link to that in this description as soon as our live ends. I'm not seeing any questions or comments coming in. Any final thoughts, Ray?
I just really want to encourage, when work-life balance, just keep in mind what we're trying to balance, but it won't come to you if you don't know what it is that you want. So when you think of these areas of your life, the physical, the social, the mental, the spiritual, you decide for yourself what those things look like, right? Then you decide what you're going to do to achieve them. You have to have that goal in mind. I like to write mine down. I like to keep mine posted. And then when I do something in that particular area of my life, I write a big done on it.
I like that idea.
So it's kind of a little bit of a goal board. And it just, that feeds the achiever in me. Sure. And it also motivates me to see, wow, I'm really doing well in this area, but maybe I'm not doing so well in this area. And then that gives me that sense of balance. So I like to put fun stuff up there, but I put achievement stuff up there. But I choose, and that's where control comes, or empowerment too.
I like that. Make a fun to-do list. The to-do list of all the things you enjoy, not just the things you don't want to always have to do.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. Well, we're so grateful to you all. Thanks for tuning in today. Melanie, thanks for your comment. We're happy to do this for you all, and we'd love to continue getting your feedback, any comments, suggestions, thoughts on other future topics. Again, these are for you. If you'd like to reach out to us, it's at mti@missouri.edu. And if you liked what you saw, please like and share and follow us here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Holy moly, we're on a lot.
That's right.
So we hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care, and we'll be talking to you all soon.
Go be great.
Yeah.